Remember when Trump said, "Liberate Michigan"? Apparently they listened. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. So the Detroit News is publishing the story that this plot put together by these right-wing militia cranks in Michigan was planning on kidnapping Governor Whitmer and taking over the government of Michigan or something like that. I mean, it's very bizarre, and yet it's not. And I'm wondering to what extent this ties back to Donald Trump's April 17th tweet, "Liberate Michigan." Remember that? Liberate Michigan. And, you know, we all know the militias and the Nazis and the racists follow Donald Trump obsessively, compulsively. And here we are. This is a cancer in the United States. This is a cancer that we have had in this country for a long, long time. Domestic terrorism that is fundamentally based in racism and well, to some extent even sexism, misogyny, but in particular on racism. We had the Klan back in the 19th century and through the 20th century, and now we've got, you know, the Klan has been reinvented under a variety of names as these right-wing militia groups. And the idea is, you know, as Mike Lee said, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. You know, we're run by a small group of people. We're actually a representative republic, which is one of the definitions of a democracy. But anyway, this is extraordinarily destructive stuff. This is very, very dangerous stuff. And you go back, you look at what Tim McVeigh did when he blew up the Oklahoma City federal building. In my humble opinion, I mean, you know, just 2 years before that, you had Waco with David Koresh, and I believe it was a year before that, you had Randy Weaver getting killed by federal officers. Koresh and Weaver were both basically, you know, right-wing, hardcore, white supremacist, armed insurrectionists. And the book that these people were reading back then, the book that actually animated Tim McVeigh, according to Tim McVeigh, was a book called The Turner Diaries. And the Turner Diaries is a novel. It's a rather poorly written novel. It's kind of on par with Ayn Rand's writing. You know, it's juvenile. It's the kind of stuff that you would expect coming out of a high school student, or, you know, a first attempt by a young person. Its worldview is so simplistic. But basically, in the Turner Diaries, you've got this story of a white guy, a group of white people who are, well, actually, they're trying to rebel against the government. Where it starts is they blow up a federal building. And I believe it was in Oklahoma City. It's been 20 years since I read the book. But it might have been someplace else, might have been in the Midwest. But they blow up a federal building, and in response to that, the administration, and this was not a partisan book, it's not Democrats and Republicans, it's just, you know, like Americans, you know, the white nationalists versus America. And in response to this group, this militia group blowing up this federal building, the president and the federal government pass laws banning all guns and start taking guns away from people. And as a result of that, the white militias get activated. They rise up. The guys who have got, you know, 10, 15 assault weapons in their basement and 1,000 rounds of ammunition, they rise up, they go out in the streets, and they start killing people. A second civil war erupts. And, you know, half the book is devoted to that. And then at the end of the book, the white guy militia members, the guys with the assault weapons and all the bullets, have succeeded in killing almost all of the people of color in this country. African Americans, Hispanics, Jews, that, you know, he's throwing them into that category in Turner Diaries. And at the very end, you know, the strong, proud white men are standing there holding their guns and saying, "We have taken back our country." So that was the Turner Diaries. Then, you know, a few decades after that, there was this book that came out of France. It was called Camp of the Saints, which is a reference to, that's a biblical reference, but it's basically the last guys standing. We're the ones who are holding the space. And it's another racist screed. I have a copy of it around here someplace. I haven't read it all, you know, cover to cover like I did Turner Diaries, but I've read good chunks of it. And most of it is describing people of color in extraordinary terms. I mean, extraordinarily filthy terms. And that's one of the words that appears in the book over and over and over. Filthy and infested and you know, just these descriptive phrases that are very, very similar to the way that Adolf Hitler and the Nazis in the 1930s referred to gypsies and Jews and gay people and other minorities in general, but particularly the gypsies and the Jews. It's how they were described by Hitler, as basically animals, as cockroaches, as subhuman. And it's about a race war. And these two books are like the Bibles of this movement. Now, Gretchen Whitmer is not black, but she's a woman, and her lieutenant governor, Garland Gilchrist, is black. And so, you know, you can see where a group that has just steeped itself in this white supremacist, racist mythology would be thinking, these are the people we need to take down. We can't have women in leadership. That's, you know, one of the fundamental tenets of the white supremacist worldview. Because it's not just a white supremacist worldview, it's a white male supremacist worldview. It's like this cult in the Catholic Church that Amy Coney Barrett is a member of, where the women are referred to as handmaids and the men are referred to as the heads of the family. You know, following the teachings of Paul from 2,000 years ago. I mean, you know, we're taking our cues from ancient Bronze Age sky god religions that defined our tribe. In this case, you know, it was originally it was the Hebrews, right? Defining, but you know, it's every religion's stories basically are the stories of their own people. And the assumption is always that their people are the people who are chosen by God. And that kind of idea, and you'll find this in, I mean, literally every religion, every culture. The creation stories are, yeah, I mean, like in Genesis, in the creation story, Adam and Eve were the first people, right? No. They married their son off to a woman from the town down the street. They weren't the first people. They were simply the first, in this context, the first biblical people, let's say, or the first Jewish people. So these are, creation stories are always like this. So now we've got this new creation story, essentially, this new arch story that has been subscribed to by literally millions of white American men. And it's going viral. And now QAnon is the latest incarnation of this. So we go from Turner Diaries to Camp of the Saints to QAnon. And at every stage, it gets more bizarre. And that's where we are right now.